What is up, entrepreneurs? Welcome. This is the kickoff event for our spring run-up to the V2 pitch competition. I'm Dr. Mike Lawless. I'm a professor in the business school, and I run the entrepreneurship initiatives. I'm the founder of the V2 pitch competition, so I'm really proud of all of you being here. This is great. We've got a busy 30 minutes or so to reintroduce V2, get you oriented, and answer your questions about the competition. I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to introduce TJ, one of the officers in the Entrepreneurship Club. David, who was one of our finalists last year in the V2 pitch competition, is going to tell you about his experience. But 3 people get to pitch on V2 evening, and David was one of our finalists and actually was very successful at V2.
Thank you. So my experience, my experience last year was really good. Okay, in the V2. When one of the reasons why I came to USD was actually for the V2. Okay, I decided to pursue my master in business here for the V2. And when I got here and I started talking to Mike and Regina at the beginning, I didn't even have an idea. Okay, I think the V2 is not about the idea, but the process that goes through, like to get to the final and all the process in between. No? So when I started talking to them, they saw that I had that experience of entrepreneurship, and they were like starting like helping me to find like mentors, tools, and so like to get to the point where I have something that I can show to people and I can talk to investors or teams or other people. And I have to say that if you're gonna apply to the V2, don't do it because of the money, don't do it because you wanna get exposure, do it because of the experience, okay? No one is gonna do anything for you. You need to do it yourself. They're here to provide you with tools, with mentors, with all the resources that the schools have that are super valuable, but the work is you, okay? You need to do all the work, okay? When I started with them, as I said, like they put me in touch with a mentor who was like helping me a lot through the process. So he was like challenging me with all the idea when I got it, and he was like giving me resources and connections to make the idea possible. But at the end, it was my work to go to all the process. Of course, along the process, they had like a lot of workshops that I think are very useful. So how to create a pitch deck and so on, so that really give you the kickoff that we sometimes need as students to really start doing the idea. No, I think it's important that the V2 concept is more like with all the tools and all the workshops, give you the kickoff that we need to create the idea and to put things together, like what are the problems, like make you think, basically, like what are the problems, the solutions, what is the revenue streams that you are gonna have, and so on, so that create that pitch deck that you are gonna use for the V2. Once, of course, when I remember when I got the email from Regina and Michael Lawless that I was one of the finalists, I literally cried because not because of the money or whatever. It was more like all the work that I put into it. It was really like it came to something, and it was more what I was gonna get of all the work that I put into it, being able to explain it to the people, to students, to my faculty, with all that enthusiasm that I put into it. So I would say that is the real value, like all the process, the mentors, and even after the V2, I'm still I'm in touch with my mentor. Well, actually, I work out with him, and he's introducing me like other people, and this is at the end is like that door opens other doors. That is the key. Like it's like they're not gonna open the door for you. You need to be knocking the doors, but they are there for you, and they're still there for me, like they are still putting me in touch with different people, but at the end it's me who is using their tools to bring or to make things happen. And I think the V2 is a really good opportunity to learn, to teach, or to learn how to knock those doors and how to keep up with that spirit of entrepreneurship. So I really recommend you all to apply to be part of the process, no? And of course, I will be helping them this year, and I'll be a mentor if someone need me, and hopefully you all apply. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric. So I'm going to take you through some of the mechanics of the V2 pitch competition. We're in our 7th year now. That's as many years as I've been at USD. And we started off by moving away from a business plan competition to a pitch competition. So that's kind of one of the basic things that you need to understand. Our format is 10-slide pitch deck and 7 minutes of platform time for the finalists. The process is, you saw the dates kind of flashing by, but let me just use my notes to make sure that when you're an entrepreneur, you have to do everything to include erasing the whiteboard from the last person who talked here. But I got that covered. Okay, so let's start with dates. March 15th, I give a talk called Building a Pitch Deck, and that walks you through the essential content in the format that we use, which is the 10 slides in 7 minutes. And we have this videoed, and I'll answer all kinds of questions about what's a successful pitch deck in our setting at USD. The pitch decks are due April 5th. So this is the deadline that you need to be thinking about in the short term. You will send your pitch decks to an address that we'll give you. It's all electronic, and then that starts you through the process of getting evaluated toward the pitch competition. In this period of a week, the submitted pitch decks are narrowed down to the finalists. The last couple of years, just to give you round numbers, there are 3 finalists from USD. We've had around 50 or 60 entrants from USD, and I'll tell you about the process by which we go from 60 to 3 in just a minute. So the finalists are announced on the 12th. On the 19th, we have coaching specifically for entrance to the V2 pitch competition. So whether you're a finalist or not, you have the opportunity to meet with mentors, with entrepreneurs, investors who will coach you on your pitch deck and talk with you about your venture. And then the big date is April 26th, Thursday, and that's the V2 pitch competition evening. So that's kind of the timeline from where we are now through the process of coaching, evaluating your pitch deck, and getting into the finalists. Let me just assure you about 2 things. One is that we hate the word judges in the V2 pitch competition. At other schools, in my experience where I've taught and where I've observed entrepreneurship competitions like this one, there's a panel of judges. It'll be a senior executive from a big company, maybe a professor, as well as maybe investors or entrepreneurs. At our competition, all of the pitch decks are evaluated only by angel investors who are doing investing at this stage on a regular basis. And we think that's a real distinguishing characteristic and one that lends kind of a real world element to our pitch competition. So the angel investors come in at two places. One is in this period between the 5th and the 6th and the 12th, where these decks go from 60 to 3. This is done by a panel of angel investors. Each deck gets seen by at least 2 angel investors, and then the investors meet with me and Regina, and they decide who the finalists are going to be. And then on V2 pitch evening, A different panel of angel investors will listen to the pitches and evaluate the pitch decks. Okay. So that's the timeline and the process so far. Let me stop there, answer any questions about clarification or information added to this, and then I'll tell you more about V2 Pitch Evening and some other aspects of the competition. So any questions right now? Everybody's good? Yeah.
With the pitch decks, do you guys give an outline, or is it pretty much you get to look at previous winners or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have our own website. The landing page is usdentrpreneurship.com, and we actually have a YouTube playlist that shows the complete previous competitions and finalist pitches going back to when we started. And this pitch deck coaching is where I'll walk you through what kind of a standard generic pitch deck ought to look like, and then it's up to you to decide how you want to present it. But we'll give you what the structure looks like, the essential information that investors are looking for, and make sure that you get that included in your deck.
And we're also available to meet, so once you have your 10 slides and you have some additional questions or you don't know if you should include information, we're happy to meet with you before the deadline to make sure you get the changes that you need.
Okay, everybody good? Okay, so let me tell you about the competition itself. And there are a number of characteristics that I think are really cool about it, not just because I made them up, but because they're really cool. One is that as I said already, the pitch decks on V2 Pitch Evening are evaluated by real angel investors. So I think that's an important characteristic that if it's not unique, then it is definitely distinctive. Second is that that the money that's available, we call it a fund, meaning that this is not a tournament. So you may have been around competitions where there's a first place with 10,000, second is 5, and like that. $30,000 is our prize fund, and that's at stake. And the angel investors decide how to allocate that among the 3 finalists based on their judgment. You could imagine a completely even distribution, so each of the 3 finalists gets 10,000, or it could be, I haven't seen it yet, but one gets 30 and the other 2 get a thank you and too bad, but you weren't good enough. So that notion of not a tournament, but a fund, I think is really important distinguishing characteristic. So this is going to be 30,000. So you can figure just going in randomly, you probably have like 10,000 available to you if you do a good pitch. Okay? So fund, not a tournament. All right, the pitch format, I've mentioned this already. So you get 10 slides to get across your essential information about your venture, capture the attention of the investors, get them confident enough, interested enough, so that they want to have a meeting with you. That's basically what your job is at this pitch stage. And that really reflects what it would be like in a pitch evening or another pitch event out away from USD. All right, so those are essential parts of the kind of the structure. The evening starts around 5 with what we call a venture fair. And this is an innovation from about 3 or 4 years ago where we recognized that being a finalist in the V2 pitch competition is by no means the only way to have a successful venture. You may not hit it with this group of angel investors, but you might have a really good venture that you're going to just develop along a different path than V2. So all of the entrants are invited to present their ventures in a fair format in the quad right in front of the IPJ. So you get a chance to set up a table or a booth or a rack of t-shirts if that's what you're selling, some mock-up or demonstration of your product or device, and people just kind of wander around. There's food, there's drink, you have conversations with the audience. Lots of times there are investors in the audience, so you might, although it's not in the V2 format, informally get someone who's interested in your venture in the venture fair. Okay, so that starts off the evening.
And that has happened in the past. So people will reach out after and say, I talked to a student, this is their venture, I'm really interested in learning more, and we'll make the connection.
After about an hour, we have a keynote. This is typically someone who's been through USD, an alum who's a successful entrepreneur, and they just tell us about their life experience. That's about 45 minutes. Then we get into the pitches. These are about right numbers. So this is where your 10 slides and 7 minutes of platform time come in. We don't tell the investors, the judges, how to manage their time, but in all the times that we've had the V2 pitch competition, this has been 7 uninterrupted minutes. And partly that's because of format that another part of the format that I'll tell you about in a minute. So 7 minutes, pretty much of uninterrupted time, chance to give your 10 slides. You're on the stage in the IPJ Theater with the 3 angel investors at a table to your sides and the audience in front of you. And you have a chance to project your slides. 5 years ago or so, recognizing that USD is on the border with Mexico, that we are international in our vision as a university and as entrepreneurs, we started what was called a binational track. So Mexican student entrepreneurs went through a separate process to get to be finalists, but there's a track for Mexican student entrepreneurs. And last year and this year, teams from Uruguay will be here as well. So there'll be 2 Mexican teams and 1 team from Uruguay, as well as the 3 entrepreneurs from USD. So 7 minutes each of those ventures, both USD and international. Then, this is another cool part of the evening, I think. We basically break out from the IPJ Theater into those breakout rooms, kind of as you go into the IPJ on the left side. And each of the entrepreneurs or teams gets a 10-minute meeting on a rotating basis with each of the angel investors. So this, again, in a kind of mini shortened version, reflects what happens in the real world. If your pitch is successful, an investor's probably not going to write a check. They'll probably say, let's have a meeting so I can get more in depth and hear more about your venture, kind of kick the tires a little bit. So these meetings are to follow up on your pitch with each of the investors. So 3 investors, each finalist will get 10 minutes with each of the 3. Then all the investors will kind of meet and decide how to allocate the fund and announce what that should look like. And so somewhere, let's say around 9:30, we'll reconvene in the IPJ Theater and we'll announce the investments. I should be clear about this, that they're not really investments. This is money donated by supporters of USD, and you are awarded it basically with no other restrictions based on the merits of your pitch and your meeting with the investor. So you get a check a couple of weeks after the V2 pitch competition based on how well you do. This is not an equity stake. There are no other commitments or obligations on your part.
David can tell you how much was your check from the mail.
Well, I didn't get it from the mail, but yeah, it was 22.
For his venture,
So that's the timeline, that's the structure of the competition, that's the mechanics, that's the run up to the V2 pitch competition. I'm happy to clarify, answer questions that will help you be successful in our competition.